Hello everyone, this is Sarah. I finally finished watching the Miss Americana documentary. I was well aware that when I did the reaction to the Only Young song, I obviously interpreted wrong because I thought it was about herself, but now I get it was about a political situation when she spoke up for the Tennessee elections. But yeah, kind of wanted to give you what my opinion on the documentary was and why and how I think she has grown so much as a person. I obviously feel like there's a lot of opinions when it comes to her, but whenever I think about this, I always tell myself that people will meet you at the level that they have met themselves. So I really get everything Taylor says, because I've also gone and been through that victim mentality that she talks about. I think it's unfair for the press or her haters to pick on her just because if you're a Taylor fan, you know everything that she's been through, and I think you cannot judge a person by what they were like 5 years ago, even a month ago, because you always have the will to change your circumstances. And I think this was a major lesson for her, but it also seemed like she was also always put in a bad light, or she was always blamed for something. And she says, I have it here written, she says in the documentary, my entire moral code as a kid and now is a need to be thought of as good. It was all I wrote about, it was all I wanted, it was the entire belief system I subscribed into. I was so fulfilled by approval that was it. And this really kind of like broke my heart a little when I watched it, because in the documentary some people would say it was very staged, it was very feel sorry for me, but I think she's legitimately talking about her story and her point of view. Maybe if you're someone from the outside who has never dealt with what it's like to be a people pleaser or what it's like to feel sorry for yourself, you don't understand how good it feels when you turn the tables down and you decide to do something about it and to speak for yourself and do better and not let those people dictate who you are, and you stop letting others influence what you do and tell you who you are. I always hated how her songwriting was criticized. Like, she dates a lot, she writes a lot about men, whatever, but she is this big and she's this successful because her songwriting is unmatched. And if you watch her videos, writing the songs, all that, it's truly magical, and you can see how she's fucking talented. It was really sweet to watch her, the videos of when she was little and she was going from label to label, or she was playing in the radio, and you can tell how she has grown from out of that identity she had of a good girl and of a quiet girl. You would really never hear anything controversial from her. You watch the scene on the VMAs, you can really grasp this concept, because in that moment it's not your fault that you're put in that position. You're obviously responsible to pick yourself back up, but back then you only have who you were at that time. And she's talking about what she is like now, so many years later. So I think people tend to remember her the way she was in those situations. Maybe she did not have the tools back then. Maybe she did not have the self-confidence back then. Maybe she was a slave to what other people thought of her. And if you've ever been through the victim mentality, you know sometimes it's hard for you to identify whether the thoughts in your mind are yours or the people you surround yourself with, and you end up believing what those people are telling you because you're in such of a weak or susceptible position. So I think that's what she's trying to portray, but I think the media and people have something when it comes to her. I'm sure she has flaws. I'm sure sometimes not been the victim. I'm sure, but I think many things that have been done to her have been unfair, because if you look back at her career, she has never been controversial. She has always been educated. She has always been well spoken. She has never done something to deliberately attack anyone, if that makes any sense. You can say she can be manipulative at times. We all are, but I think she has set a great example for young women, and it's really cool to see the evolution from when she was young to now that she is older. And some of the other things I wrote down, where she said the reason why backlash hurt so much was because it was all that I had. It really hit home for me. I think when you're walking on eggshells and you're trying to get everyone's validation, the moment someone points out the tiniest negative aspect that you could have, everything crumbles for you, because all you stand on is people's opinions of you, and you try to mold yourself and fit into all these different categories and all these different personas to keep the people interested in you, because she talks about this, keeping the people interested and having to reinvent yourself as a female artist. And I think what keeps her so successful and what keeps her fan base so loyal is her authenticity when it comes to her songwriting, her talent, her relatableness overall, because no one, you know, like, it's cool to hear songs about being a bad bitch, but she makes relatable sound fun. Her way with words is just brilliant. Also really liked the scene when her manager is calling her and she tells her that she hasn't been nominated for any Grammy, and you can see it in her face. I think Taylor is someone that's very hard on herself, extremely hard on themselves, because when you worry so much about what other people think of you, sometimes it's also because you are very hard on yourself, and because you are very aware of people's nature, human nature. And when she was like, I'm gonna make a better record, I'm gonna prove to myself. I guess that combination of being extremely hard on herself and not catching a break and worrying too much has partly led her to her greatness. I think someone in some part of the documentary mentions this. Someone mediocre wouldn't have got that far. And when she talks about how she thinks about it now, it's really cool how she says, I wasn't happy in the way they had trained me to be happy. It was happiness without anyone else's input. And this goes back to what I said before, when you have been programmed, or you've taught yourself to be this people pleaser and to always ask before you do anything, and to feed yourself with the approval of others, and to only be happy if those around me think I'm cool, and to only feel successful if those around me are telling me I'm doing great, and to not give a single fuck about whether someone criticizes me because they don't know me, they don't know my heart, but I believe in this person who only wants to hurt me, because, you know, like, as I said before, people will only meet you at the level they have met themselves. So I think a lot of people reflect a lot of bad traits on her because they always go back to the times that she was in that victim mentality. They liked how she developed this new way of being, which I guess eventually comes with age. I'm only 21, so I can only speak for my experience and what I know. And when she said, I thought to myself, next time there's any opportunity to change anything, better know what you stand for and what you want to say. And I think this is so important. And if you've always been a people pleaser, I think it's really key to start implementing that, even if it feels weird or it feels like it's not the real you, to start taking baby steps towards that you want to be, where you are respected and you are not walked all over. And overall, I really liked this documentary. Some people would say that's staged. Some people, you know, like, there's nothing you can say nowadays in the internet without someone getting fucking offended. So I'm really happy for her. Lover was a fucking masterpiece. My personal favorite is False God. That song is brilliant, and yeah, just let me know what your thoughts on the documentary were. If you like this new Taylor, if you think that she's going to be a strong female artist for very much long, because she also talked about how she's 30 now, like how long till she is no longer relevant. But I think she will always be relevant because the loyalty she has created among her fans is unmatched. Hardly anyone buys albums nowadays. They all stream the music. But I never buy CDs now, but I bought hers because she always adds something special, which is fantastic. Genius marketing, which she did with the diaries. You have to have something about you for people to go out and buy your stuff nowadays in music. And overall, yeah, like, people can say whatever the fuck they want to say. I'm so happy for her. I'm so proud of her. I've been listening to her for more than 10 years now, and I love her first album, I love her last album, and I love them all because there's a constant aspect that they have, and it's her songwriting. And we will always find something relatable within any chapter of her life that she has wrote about. So I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one.